Okay, everybody, we're going to fire this up. And I want to thank everybody for jumping on this meeting. It was kind of last minute planned. And before we get started, I just want to, on behalf of the BIA, my name is Jake Pedler. I'm the chair. Those who don't know you, I'm also a small business owner in Port Credit myself. And just want to bring up a fact that on behalf of the board and the staff, we really want to thank all the members and the community for their support, sending flowers, text messages, emails, and rallying around the BIA during a difficult time with our general manager Beatrice's passing. So really want to thank the community and everybody for reaching out. It meant a lot to us during a difficult time. In regards to that and our staffing, we're very fortunate to have Natasha Mckinnon, our operations manager, and Dianne Dela Cruz, who is our business development manager. Fortunately for them, they got to be mentored by Beatrice for the last year, but they also bring upon some new skills and some fresh initiatives. And so we do really find it is an exciting future, and we're in great hands with the BIA moving forward. We encourage all our members to be involved in reading the updates when they're sent out, contacting the office or the girls for any questions, or simply dropping by the lighthouse to say hi. And once things stabilize, Dianne and Tasha will be pounding the pavement and introducing themselves to you. Our staff rocks. So also remember the board of directors that does oversee our paid staff. We're all business owners in Port Credit who volunteer and represent the best we can, so we can relate to the issues and the pain that everybody's going through. So I'd like to also introduce the panel today. And first and foremost, I just touched on Natasha Mckinnon. She's been with us for a year and has recently been promoted to operations manager, as well as Dianne Dela Cruz, who has a wealth of experience in business development and is going to help businesses thrive survive in these tough times and thrive in the future. These girls, they might be new, but they have been through now COVID and the passing of our GM. So any challenge that comes up in the near future will be pittance compared to what they've had to endure this last year. I want to introduce also Rudy Cuzzetto, our member MPP, local MPP for the Conservatives. We're fortunate to have you on. I know your schedule extremely busy, so thank you for making time for the business community, Rudy. This last shutdown was a provincial mandated shutdown, so we look forward to asking some questions about that during this debate or this town hall. Stephen Daskos is our Ward 1 councillor who's just celebrated 2 years. And we're fortunate enough for him to be on the BIA board as well. So we do have the ability to get answers relatively quickly with city issues and anything like that. And Steve is always going to bat for the BIA and the community. And I also want to introduce John Pappas. John will speak about the advocating of the 3 levels of government that we are going to put forth. John has been a leader in this difficult time in regard to the advocating. He's done tons of research. He's also lived through this nightmare as an owner of the crooked queue. He's lived through the pain, having to beg, borrow, and lay off staff. Like so many other business owners here, where staff is family. And I remember the first shutdown, John cleaned out his fridge by making all his staff that he just had to lay off meals. The laying off part is one of the toughest parts for business owners to endure during this time. I'd like to now pass the torch to Dianne, who's going to talk about some housekeeping rules for today.
So just prior to the housekeeping rules, I'm just going to jump in here and go over our agenda. These are the topics that we're going to be discussing. So we're going to get started with a statement and update from Jake, our Port Credit BIA Chair, moving into some Port Credit marketing initiatives. Businesses are people. That's something Diane's going to be touching on, and as well as the Support the Port initiative that was launched earlier this May, which I'm going to be touching on as well. Following the current lockdown regulations and justification for closing restaurants, bars, gyms, and studios, Rudy Cuzzetto will be giving an update from the provincial government. Stephen Dasko, our Councillor Ward 1, will be giving some updates from the municipal government. And John Papas, just as Jake stated, will be speaking about advocating for our Port Credit BIA businesses. Now I'm going to pass the floor on to Dianne.
Thank you, Natasha. Hi, everybody. Before we get started, we just want to go over some general housekeeping rules. Microphones, please make sure that your microphones remain muted until it is your turn to speak. We've all been on many Zooms before, and we know how distracting it can be to have background noise happening. Questions, comments, and concerns, please hold all of your questions until the end of our presentation. Attendees will be called on one by one and will be given the opportunity to share. And lastly, please be respectful of everybody. Please don't comment or interrupt while other people are speaking. Everybody is very passionate and has something to say, so let's all just be mindful and respectful of that.
Thank you, Diane. We all know that 7 months ago we were hit with COVID. The worldwide crisis crashed down on our little village by the lake, Port Credit. The 477 businesses in our Port Credit community had been affected with a complete shutdown, and everyone in all levels of government scrambling to try and figure it out with information that was changing daily. The biggest thing to remember to everyone is how quick this happened, and the constant balance of safety and economics has to be considered. We understand that. And this is all new for all of us. Our focus is the small businesses and the small businesses in our hood. The BIA has yielded so many questions and concerns from the community, so we want to give our people the chance to ask direct questions and voice their concerns today. Our restaurant, bars, and cafes are the bread and butter of PC, whether you like to hear that or not. We are a true destination spot that brings family, youth, and tourists to the Lakeshore Strip. The first shutdown, our businesses were in a bit better position to barely survive, and our three-level governments assisted. However, the two biggest saviors was the weather and the determination and passion from our members who run the businesses. The easiest answer we always hear is outdoor dining and takeout. The fact is most businesses already operate on a very slim margin at the best of times. Food and labor costs make takeout a losing proposition. I've seen the Tommy Donnellys, the Ryan Andys, the Nina and Jimmys, the Marines, the Ann Mails, the Dannys with fear and sometimes defeat in their eyes. We're all trying to keep each other together. Our decision makers have to sit back and imagine that suddenly your paycheck stops and you have instant increase in debt with the unknown staring down at you. If the governments want to shut down, they better be prepared to do everything possible to not only make us survive, but to thrive. We as a BIA have to rally together with OBIA, which is our provincial BIA that hosts over 200 BIAs in the province, and the three-level governments to help step up because recovery for our businesses hasn't started. Almost all of them are hanging over a cliff for dear life, and this is dire. We talk about businesses are struggling. One thing that must be remembered is that businesses are people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Okay, so Support the Port was an initiative and is an initiative that we launched in the beginning of May. And currently we have, and how we launched it was through a gift card initiative. And currently we have $21,420 that have been already purchased with these gift cards. There are 43 businesses that are participating in this program to date. Currently, we're sitting at $6,600 that have been spent in these participating businesses. That means there's about $14,820 that has not been spent, that consumers are waiting to, basically itching to spend their money. So what we're trying to do right now is revamp the website. So in addition to selling the gift cards, we plan on expanding the existing Support the Port website and use it for a hub of information on how to support our small businesses. What we're going to do is continuously keep pushing these gift cards out. So if your business is not signed up, please email me. Diane's going to drop my email in the chat right now, natasha@portcredit.com, if you're interested in signing up. We will also check in on participating businesses to ensure that you are already able to accept these cards efficiently. If there's any glitches, please let us know. We will send out our ambassador to come fix any issues that you are occurring. This campaign brings our community together and it moves our economy forward. So this was the first branch that we launched back in May when the pandemic first hit. Now what we're doing is adding on to this campaign with a new initiative. So building on Support the Port initiative and continue to market campaigns that will bring awareness to encourage community support for Port Credit. We're going to be discussing that, and I'm going to give the floor out to Dianne so that she can explain exactly what we're launching and if you've seen the advertisements out already on our socials.
Thank you, Natasha. So Businesses Are People is our newest marketing campaign. And this campaign was started in order to show the real effects of COVID-19 on our small businesses. So next week, we'll be sending out a videographer and a photographer to interview our Port Credit BIA business owners in front of their storefronts or inside their businesses and capture video and photos for this campaign. The goal of this campaign is to raise awareness for our small businesses who are truly being impacted by COVID-19 and to show the reality that our businesses and the business owners are facing today. And we hope to encourage community and government support during this difficult time by reminding them that behind these small businesses are people who need help now. So this timeline, the timeline for this particular marketing campaign is very tight. We are very cognizant of the business's struggles today, and we want to make a strong statement right now. So this campaign is going to be a digital marketing campaign as well as a traditional marketing campaign. So you will see banners, you will see bus wraps, you will see posters, window stickers, and things like that, as well as digital ads, videos on our socials, just to name a few things. So yesterday, as Natasha mentioned, we did put a call out to business owners on social media, and we sent out a newsletter as well, just to let everyone know this is our plan and looking for support and participation from our BIA businesses. To date, we have 12 businesses who have already reached out. They have said, yes, I love this and I want to be a part of this. And if you are a BIA business who has not yet signed up, please send me an email at dianne@portcredit.com. Natasha can drop my email in the chat as well. We are looking to cut off our applications today at 5. Due to the short timeline, we are looking to mobilize and really start filming and coordinating with businesses by this coming Monday. And I think that is the update for now in terms of Businesses Are People. Again, if you have any questions, please email Natasha or myself. We'd be happy to chat more about it. So I am going to pass the floor back to our chair, Jake. and he is going to discuss the current lockdown rules and regulations.
Jake, you're on mute.
Thank you, Tasha. Yes, just to reiterate, the marketing aspect of trying to get people to keep coming down and supporting the small businesses is essential. So we're really putting a focus in on that, coordinating with all our social medias, as well as we are in the process of launching a new website in the near future that's going to be much more user-friendly and be able to promote the businesses on a better scale. The second shutdown, as we all know, just happened. And the troubling parts are a couple. The Premier mentioned 2 weeks ago that he would not shut down someone's livelihood without supporting facts. 2 days later, they imposed a shutdown in our city with no stats. And even our mayor was one who advised that 89% of cases of COVID was due to community spread, not bars, restaurants, and fitness facilities. One of the reasons the politicians gave at this time is that Toronto would shut down and the people from that area would come over and there'd be spillover to our businesses and our community. This point suggests that our bars and restaurants and gyms would not act responsibly and jam people into these places in an unsafe manner. This has never been the case. This won't be the case. And this justification, in our opinion, does not justify a shutdown. The simple response is that they have to listen to health officials. However, the leaders were voted in to lead and make tough decisions. We don't understand why restaurant, bars, and fitness facilities were the ones that set the standard of social distancing and sanitizing and showing that could work. The restaurant industry has proven they can operate alongside the virus instead of running from it. We simply need more from the levels of government, and we need to open up with the same procedures that were working before. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Rudy Cuzzetto for a provincial update on your end, Rudy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you for having this today. I know how difficult it is for you. My father-in-law is a small business owner, and it's been tough for him as well during these tough times. And you know, growing up here in Port Credit, seeing this happen, it's unbelievable. As you know, that we do listen to our chief medical officers, and like you were saying, we did not have any cases in our restaurants here in Mississauga, and I know that for a fact. But their worry was that when we were in our caucus meeting before that, when we were in our caucus meeting, it was a 4-hour caucus meeting that we had with our chief medical officers. And we were going back and forth about, I was defending Peel, all of Peel, not only Port Credit, all of Peel, saying like, why are we closing down? And this is what Dr. Williams and Dr. Brown said, that the worry was that if we didn't shut down Peel as well, people from Toronto would be coming into Peel and spreading the virus here in Peel. So that was the reasoning that we ended up shutting down. The Premier did not want to shut down our restaurants here in Peel. He didn't want to shut down restaurants or anything in the whole province, but we have to listen to our chief medical officers. I know that they're not elected officials, but we do have to control this virus. And if we don't control this virus, it could get out of control, and our hospitals will not have the capacity to handle COVID-19 patients. And this is why we do close down the cities across the province. But I'll tell you what we have been doing for the people of Ontario and the people of Port Credit, Mississauga. We've been reducing small business corporate income tax by a rate of 8.7%. That will help 275,000 businesses in the province. A 5-month interest and penalty-free period to make payments for majority of the provincial administration tax, providing $6 billion in relief. Deferring the quarterly remit of education property tax to school boards by 90 days will defer payments for $1.8 billion for local residents and businesses. providing another $1.9 billion in financial relief for WSIB, allowing employers to defer payments for 6 months.
Oh,
Thank
Rudy, sorry. I think you're still on mute, or you've become muted.
About that, I'm not sure why. Where did I apologize for that. Did we get to the compensation, WSIB? You didn't hear that?
Just, for the sake of everyone, if you want to just start there.
Please.
Okay, so we're providing $1.9 billion in financial relief for WSIB, allowing employers to defer their payments for 6 months. As well, there's a $900 million joint initiative with the federal government for urgent relief for small business landlords through the province of Ontario. As well as another allowing restaurants and bars to sell alcohol as takeout on a permanent basis. And providing another $50 million through the Ontario Together Fund for businesses for retooling. Now that won't affect anybody in Port Credit, but if you want to produce PPEs, we will give you an extra $50 million for that as well. You were talking about the digital Main Street Square growth, and we're investing another $57 million for that. That would give each business owner $2,500 to help them in the digital field. As well, we're investing in mental health because during this period, mental health issues have gone up. So we're investing more money into mental health. On insurance, I know that a lot of small businesses have been hit with higher insurance rates, which is, I don't believe they should be hit with that. And the Premier is really fighting back with that. So we've introduced Bill 218, which is being read right now, which will help small business owners. If you are doing everything you can to prevent someone from catching COVID-19 in your location, you will not be sued for that, because right now the insurance companies are claiming that their insurance rates are going up because people are going to start suing small business owners if they catch COVID in their location. So that's our next bill that's going in right now. As well, I want to hear from you right now that, we are going to reopen, in the near future. We hope that we will open, but I want to hear what we can do to reopen. Like I was speaking with one of the restaurant owners about capacity, and he was saying that the province should go by the liquor license you have. If the liquor license says you have 150 people capacity, if we open you up at 1/3 of that, it should be 1/3 of your license, not a 75 or 100 person in your location. So if your liquor license says 150, 1/3 of that would be 50 people. So that's what I want to hear your feedback as well, because at the end of the day, we need your help. We're as strong as you are. And whatever advice you give, I will bring back to Minister Phillips, Minister Elliott, because the other day, Minister Phillips and I were talking about these small business and especially banquet halls that have been affected largely through the whole province of Ontario. I don't think the banquet halls will survive this, unfortunately. And, and he said that we are going to be giving out more information in our budget. He's waiting for the budget. It will be released shortly to help small business owners as well. So that's another thing that Minister Phillips has told me the other day. And Christine Elliott, I was the one that was fighting with her, really discussing with her the issues about our dance studios being closed. And at the end of the day, we did reopen the dance studios. But these are things that I need feedback from you, because if I don't have your feedback, I cannot be there at Queen's Park helping you and fighting for you. I need all your feedback, from Louis, from John, from everyone. I need your feedback. The more feedback I have, the more I can support you at Queen's Park to try to reopen as quickly as we can. And let's keep our numbers down. At the end of the day, we still have to keep our numbers down of COVID in the province. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rudy, for that update. The next guest speaker we have is our Ward 1 Councillor, Stephen Dasko. Please, Stephen, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for participating and having me on. Without a doubt, this is an absolute hard time, very painful for everybody, um, and we're all making our way the best we can through. I just wanted to start off by just saying a thanks to Jake Pedler for a lot of what he's done since he's come on the BIA. Not everybody decides to start doing some volunteer work and then you find yourself in the middle of a pandemic. So I wanted to commend Jake for everything that he's done so far, and he continues to do. He's a tireless advocate, and we're very fortunate to have him in the community. So I wanted to give a special shout out to Jake. And of course, I would be very remiss if I didn't give a proper tribute to our Beatrice, who's been a fighting driving force with the BIA for many years, and unfortunately has lost her fight recently. So I just wanted to mention that. And then, of course, to Tasha and Dianne, which are also out there each and every day fighting hard. So, we're very fortunate. I've talked to a few other BIAs in and around the city, and they're looking towards us for some leadership still. And as I mentioned, because we're all fighting our way through this together. A few things I did want to mention is I guess as we started off with a lot of this is trying to figure out different ways, and you've heard Rudy talk as well. Everybody is trying to help as much as possible, getting through all of this, and we're in truly unprecedented times. One of the initiatives, there are a few things that I was kind of coming up with different ideas, having a conversation one night with Jake. This was with regards to the Compass Food Bank, and as things started shutting down there, the request that they were coming for was to get some funds from the region with regards to um, giving gift cards to people for meals, as people could not come in and actually be in the Compass to have a meal. It was gift cards and things like that. So brought up the idea to Jake and then to Beatrice with regards to having some kind of Port Credit gift card, because I thought if you're going to be spending on gift cards, whether it be for McDonald's or Tim Hortons or anything like that, we've got fantastic places all along Port Credit that are all members of the BIA. So see if we could do that. And then Jake and the BIA took it to a whole other level and engaged with the Port Credit Foundation. So I think that's one that's not just for the restaurant sector. Those cards are applicable and good for everybody that is a member of the BIA. That's one. And then the other was we took a bit of a different twist on an idea that I had with regards to old cars, and Tasha and Dianne and Beatrice really put on a good show. That was part of the Make a Left campaign. In that, I would say was great to get some pedestrian traffic out. To be honest, I would have hoped that we would have had more participation from our local shops, if not keeping open, just to pass out some material and things like that to help promote their businesses. But that's something that we've heard loud and clear was successful, and we're looking to carry that forward. My pitch to the city over that was. People said, well, you can't gather. And I said, well, people aren't really gathering. They're just walking down the street. And if they happen to check out some cool cars and some nice music on the way, so be it. So that was part of that initiative. And then having people that whether they came down to make that left or make a right, it was to get more eyeballs and people appreciating what we've got and what we know we've got down in Port Credit. Another is with regards to the patio program. I'll mention that. Actually, before I mention that, I just happened to look up and I see I see Chris, and so I just wanted to make mention. Hi, Chris. I just wanted to make mention that yesterday at Regional Council, I brought up to Dr. Lawrence Lowe, who's the Peel Regional Health Officer, and I did communicate to him also to bring forward. Back up to the provincial level that whether you're a dance studio or a karate studio, very similar boat that everybody is in. People have spent a lot of time. This is livelihood, so people have spent a lot of time and money getting the proper protocols in place, and that we shouldn't really be looking to pick winners and losers, and that help is desperately needed. And I did mention, not at council, but I have mentioned to him and also to the mayor the situation about the karate studios, for example. So I have made mention of that. Just wanted to put that out there. And then with regards to the patios, we started off, did the patio program for the restaurants and bars, so that the fees would be waived, and also if you had the ability to, whether it was a parking lot, etc. So Port Credit being unique with the cultural node program, but also there's others, for example, Bobby's and other people like that that don't have that. They have a different kind of configuration where they would be able to set up a patio. That was very helpful in terms of the collaborative approach with the province on that, to be able to facilitate. And so that the long and short of that was cutting out the fees, whether it was part of the node or not. And I've been pushing that, quite frankly, to continue that on for to reintroduce that next year. It was supposed to finish off October 15th. We've got it going to November 15th, and nothing's done yet, but to let everybody know, there is a report coming to council, and we should be able to get that at least extended out to December 31st. So some more details are there to follow. And the next component that is being actively worked on right now is with regards to parking. In the past, and this has become a thing at least for 11 years, I'm not sure that the total duration, is to have a bit of a parking holiday for the month of December to get people out to using the shops. And so this year, last year we actually had it a little bit more extended, and that was part of that fall program that the BIA had in place, and that was to kind of piggyback off that, to be a bit of a shot. That was all the way back pre-COVID, if we can imagine that. And so the what I'm pushing for right now, because I do have kind of some protocols to go through, is I'm pushing to have from November 26th out to January 15th as a parking holiday. So that is being worked on right now. I just have to, I've been working with staff to get a report brought to council. And so they're working on that right now. Another issue that has come up too is with regards to enforcement, and this is an issue that I've had with city staff. It's been with a few different operations that I've heard of. People, whether they knew or didn't know, some, quite frankly, I think it was just an honest error, and a few folks had been fined for breaking the COVID protocols in terms of what was allowed, in terms of the bylaws that we put in place from taking direction on. And I said, okay, well, how is this possible that we have a whole group of people taking a charcoal barbecue out of somebody's trunk, putting it right beside a residential area, and putting charcoal and lighting it up? They get warned, yet somebody that puts up a curtain to block out some wind in an elongated patio ends up getting a fine instead of a warning. So they've taken that and they said, here, I'll just read off. This is from our city folks saying, officers are cognizant of both the concerns of the community and recognizing the spread of COVID-19 and the needs of the business community during these difficult times. Where possible, officers issue a verbal caution or notice of contravention, which identifies a violation but carries no fine. There are multiple violations of the provincial order, or if a violation is particularly egregious, the officer may, at their discretion, proceed with a provincial offense notice. They've said that, but they've also taken heed of the fact that, you know, everybody is in a bad way right now, and we need to be a little bit more understanding. So that is that's another part. But you know, myself, like Rudy, I would prefer to defer to everybody here to see what the feedback and questions are, and see how else we might be able to assist. But there's a strong voice from myself, and I know from the mayor and others at the city that are very sensitive to everybody that's local and small, and the fact that, you know, we've all got to get through this. Seeing everybody you know, on the brink is definitely not what's wanted. And so, however we can help, please let us know. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that update, Stephen. We're going to be calling John Pappas to the floor now, speaking about advocating for Port Credit BIA business support. John?
Thanks, Natasha. I'd start off by thanking Jake. You have no idea the amount of work he's done in the last 6 or 8 months. Like, you guys have no idea. So thanks, Jake. You've been awesome. And I'd like to thank our local politicians. They've actually really been great. We brought a lot of issues to them. They always respond. Bonnie Crombie even phones me. So it's been really good. So we've identified basically 10 or 12 of the main issues that small businesses face. And we kind of broke it down into 3 categories. And so we'll start off with the federal government. And we did reach out to Sven's office. And Sven's sitting in Parliament for the next 3 weeks, so he was unable to make it. And as well as his assistant Hanan, who runs the office, who you might know, couldn't make it either. But I did speak with her. It was a very long conversation. They do understand the dire need of what we're going through. And for a lot of us, the federal government response is probably the most important to us making it through this crisis. So the first point we really emphasized was about the wage subsidy. Now we all know that the wage subsidy has been reduced. So when the federal government goes out there and says, oh, you know, we're continuing the wage subsidy through June of next year. Yeah, that's very nice, but it's been reduced. And I remember when it first was introduced, the first 75% of our staff's wage was covered by the government, and then we would top up, right? So that was very effective. And that allowed us to recall all of our staff. We didn't like laying off 40 staff. You know, we wanted all our staff to stay, you know, and we all know how hard it is to build up your staff. You know, it takes us years and years and years to get great people. So if we lost those people and to start up again with no staff, like, you can't do it. So I'm sure that we would all like to keep our staff and keep them out of the EI system. So we're advocating that the wage subsidy be substantially increased. You know, I have a staff who, you know, one of my managers he's got 3 kids. He's a single dad, you know, and his rent is $2,100 a month. So what am I supposed to do? Put him on EI so he can make $550 a week? Then he's got a necessary car payment of $350 a month. So he's actually going to make less money than his fixed costs. And then he's got to put food on a table for his kids. You know, this is unacceptable, right? So the wage subsidy, you know, some people say to me, well, you know, if the government can do a big shutdown and all the public employees can get their full salary, and if they shut us down, why don't they fund our full payroll? You know, what's $2,000 a month going to do for the people, you know, who have families and who have mortgages and that sort of thing? Okay, I'm sure we all know the challenges of that. So we're advocating for a huge increase in that program. Number two, loan principal payment deferral. This was actually a bit of a surprise for a lot of people, but you know, me being a business person, was anticipating since the summer about the second wave coming, and so I was lobbying my bank. You know, I have a mortgage at home. You know, we have business loans, and we're with RBC, so we were saying to RBC, hey, you know, we took a deferral for 6 months on our principal payments. Can we extend that for another 3 months or 6 months? And guess what? They came back and said no. So that's personal loans and business loans. So then my brother at the other crooked queue there was CIBC, same deal. Principal loans, they just said no deferral this time. So then we learned that the reason why they deferred in the first place was because the federal government wrote legislation requiring them to give this 6-month deferral. Now then the provincial government came up with a $300 million plan introduced to help with interest on loan payments. And then I texted Bonnie Crombie and I said, what good is it to pay our interest when they won't defer the principal? She's like, they didn't? So then she goes, give me a second, I'll phone the Minister of Finance. So she phoned the Minister of Finance. Then she actually talked to Ford, and Ford assured that, you know, that he would talk to the CEOs of all the big banks and, you know, get through this. But this is actually a federal program. So when I talked to Hanan, sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but when I talked to Hanan yesterday, she was actually on the phone with the Ministry of Finance, advocating for them to rewrite that legislation, so to extend that deferral program. So if they actually do that, that'll be a big win for us. Okay. Number three, rent subsidy. The rent subsidy ended September 30th. Like, you didn't know that was coming? Hello, right? You know, so I talked to Hanan and I said, what happened with that? You say something's coming, it already ended. And she's like, well, we didn't know that businesses were going to be shut down. And I'm like, really? You didn't know a second wave was coming? Like, we all knew that. So that should have been prepared for. They have announced a program that up to 90% of rent is going to be covered. But that's another thing we have to keep pushing for. Like, write the legislation. You had it before. It's like, should be a no-brainer. All right, get that going. And then when we get down to the provincial government, we have let Rudy's offices know that insurance premiums, a lot of our businesses, ours included, we lost our insurance. Like, we didn't get renewed. Like, we got dropped by cooperators. We've been with them for 20 years. I'm like, you dropped us? Our business is down 80%. How can you drop us? Like, we're way less risky than before. And so by the time we finally got new insurance, our insurance went up 50%. And then I talked to Maureen, she's like, oh, you're lucky 50%. And then I talked to Jake and he's like, you're lucky, I went up 100%. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, like, we're doing like a fraction of the business and our insurance went up. Okay, and I know Rudy's addressed that, and I don't think it's just a liability. And I did like hearing the Premier Ford on TV yesterday saying that the insurance industry can't eat the gravy and the whipped cream and discard everything else. He's going to go after them. So, you know, let's keep pressing on that issue, and whether they have to regulate the rates or whatever, but, you know, we all have to be insured at competitive rates. They can't just sock it to us and take advantage of us. All right. Fixed costs. Okay, so we have property taxes, we have hydro, we have lease payments. Okay, property tax, if you shut down a business, how are we going to pay the property taxes? And, you know, all due respect, a deferral is going to make it worse. It's like saying, oh yeah, just pile up your debt and pay it later, right? It doesn't help us. So I think only fair is fair, that if our businesses get shut down, that the property taxes should be waived. Hydro charges should be waived, not deferred. And then the plan for reopening businesses. I know that they're throwing us the carrot. Oh, it's only 28 days. You know, we're advocate for you reopening. But if you look on the news today, what happened? Record COVID cases across Canada. We hit the record number. You know, and in our industry, we're the first to be closed. You know, I see more businesses closures coming, not a reopening. It's not going to happen. So let's set up this system so that, you know, when the realistic reopening, like next spring, you know, when the weather gets good, let's make sure we make it through this bad winter, right? But when the case counts are keep going up every day, how could they reopen us? Because we've been vilified by the media that the restaurants are the cause of the problem, when we all know that we're not. Okay, so if you close our industry first, that makes us look like we're the most egregious, you know, that we're causing the problem, right? So you're, and I don't understand the logic. I mean, the restaurant industry and the gym industry, what are we, 5% of the economy? So you shut down 5%, you expect that to flatten the curve? That makes no sense. The only way to flatten a curve is to shut everybody, right? But we don't want to do that. So let us stay open and give us the protocols, right? And then, you know, the plan for reopening businesses, like, they don't give us a target. Like, give us a realistic target. And if it's going to be next spring, tell us, you know, don't give me the carrot that it might be in a few weeks, because I don't know what to do with my staff, right? I don't know how to plan for that, right? And then when they shut us down, what did they give us? 12 hours notice? Like, they come up at 3 in the afternoon, oh, as of tomorrow, you're pretty much shut down. You know, Johnny Botso had to donate $20,000 worth of inventory to the food bank for Thanksgiving. And I believe Paramount Fine Foods had to donate like 50,000 chickens or something like that. Like, can't give us like less than 1 day notice, right? The other idea somebody came up with was giving us a grant. So when we get shut down, we lose so much inventory, fixed costs don't stop. And then they offer interest-free loans. And I'm like, yeah, I want to take another loan. Like, I'm already, you know, into all the loans I can take. You know, we should be offering grants. So on a case-by-case basis, a business should be able to apply for a grant and get some money back. And that's it for the province. I know that Rudy's on it, and they're helping us, and they know the issues. And it's really great that our voices are heard. And then for the city of Mississauga, the problems we identified, we want to extend the patio season because evidently outdoor dining is safer than indoor. I don't see it, given that if we're indoors and we space out people properly and we do our ventilation, but you know, we got to do what we got to do. Other ideas we were thinking of were allowing tents with heaters. We've advocated for free parking, and the bylaw. You know, I call out to everybody. We got somebody called the fire inspector on us because we had patio heaters, you know, and I'm like, he let it slip to my manager that it was another restaurant that did it. Okay, so we're all desperate. Let's not all be calling out at each other's businesses, you know, try to hurt that guy because, you know, he stayed open because he had a patio heater, and I'm not in that position or whatever, right? So let's not do that to each other, okay? So in closing, I think, you know, we're really all in this together, supposedly. I mean, I'm not really feeling it. I feel like we're being the scapegoat, but do know that these things do work. I've been really encouraged that our politicians do listen. And I thank Stephen, I thank Rudy, and Sven's office. I haven't spoke to Sven personally, but because he's away, but you know, Hanan's been very, very helpful, and they're doing what they can. But you know what, your voices can be heard. Okay, so the more we advocate, the more they can do stuff for us. But really what it comes down to is we need money, right? We need to be compensated. If they shut us down, don't just throw us a few peanuts. It's not, or, you know, like, I know I can't give you any food, but here's some crackers. You know, it's not good enough. Okay, so I'll leave it at that, and I'll give a chance for everybody to say their thoughts. And I thank everybody for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John, for bringing forward these ideas. Now we are going to be opening up the floor to our BIA business owners. We will be calling on each person one by one. So in order to provide an opportunity for everyone to speak and say their piece, we ask that everybody stay mindful and try and limit your comments to a minute in order to get a response from the panel and allow the next person to speak. If we call on your name and you your question has already been asked or you don't want to contribute at this time, please say pass and we will move on to the next person. Natasha will be calling names out. So Natasha, please, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. And I just wanted to remind everybody that this entire presentation and town hall is being recorded, okay? As well as I wanted to just touch base with our sponsors that had helped kickstart the Support the Port initiative before. So Port Credit Foundation, thank you so much for your support. Brightwater Development, Eden Shaw Development, Colored Fast as well for all your contributions. So the first person I am going to call out is Abel Santos. Abel,
hi Natasha, how
the
are
floor
you?
is yours.
I'm
Good,
good.
how are you?
Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Stephen. The question I had actually was going back to the federal initiative regarding the subsidy for the lease. Do you have an idea? I'm not sure who can answer that question, but do you have an idea of when the federal or the federal government will be releasing that to assist us with the lease payments? And is it apparently, instead of it going to the property management, it's going to be going to the business owners? So not sure who can answer that, but I'll leave it out there. Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you, you're welcome. Stephen, would you be able to help out with that question, please?
So this is with regards to the federal wage subsidy?
Yes.
Well, not just the wage sub. I was talking about the lease.
The rent
Yeah,
subsidy, rent
rent,
subsidy,
yeah.
not lease.
So yeah, in the past we had the CECRA, which John alluded to, but which already expired, and apparently there's going to be a new one that's coming out, which is now going to be provided directly to the business owner instead of the property management, because as you know, Stephen, I had a lot of issues with the property management, trying to convince them to assist me. So now it's ended, and now I wanted to know when is that program going to happen?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Abel. I do know we've talked a fair bit about it, and I know from others that has been a significant issue. I don't know. That's something that that the federal government will have. But what I will do is I am going to ask our economic development folks to see if we can get a bit of an update there. As you know, economic development has. They've got a bit of a library of a lot of these different programs and things like that, but I'll ask them, and what I'll do is I'll get that sent out to Tasha and Dianne to get circulated to everybody.
Yes, and to add to that point, what I'm going to do is also get in touch with Swen's office so I can try to get as much information as possible, and then I will relay that information too. It'll be available as well on our newsletters.
I'm just going to jump on here with a point as well. That program was, all the other programs were very easy to access money in basic steps. That rent subsidy program left all the power to the landlords. And unfortunately, a lot of the landlords, for whatever reason, didn't play ball. Some of them, I guess, think it's better to have zero rent coming in than 75%. On the face of it, it was a good program because it went to the fact of everyone's in this together. The landlord pays 25, the federal 25, the province 25, and the tenant 25%. Very fair. However, it was so complex, and some of the landlords are older, you know, don't live in the area. So on the surface, it could have been a good program, but it was a disaster. So the power, as Abel says, has to be simplified, and it has to be the tenant being able to initiate it. Rudy?
Yeah, Natasha and Jake, this program should be released in the next 2 weeks. And it will, like you were saying, it's going to go right to the tenant instead of the landlord, which it will be much, much better because a lot of the landlords did not want to play ball on this. So I think this program will work much better for the tenants.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, the next person I'm going to,
Is it okay
Yes.
if I say one thing about that last subject?
yes, please.
And I mentioned this to Rudy one day when we bumped into each other. Maybe I misheard Ford, but the day that he announced we had to shut down within a few hours, as someone pointed out, I could have sworn he said they were extending the current rent program for those that were affected by this shutdown. Maybe I misheard him. Maybe he spoke in a way that I don't know, was just confusing. But he made it almost sound like the current program would be extended to those that had to be shut down again. Is that not the case? I mean, we were fortunate. We have a landlord that participated. So if the old program were to be extended, I'm sure our landlord would play ball. But I just haven't heard anything about it since.
I'm not exactly positive, but I think it will be extended to 2021 of June. But let me find out exactly on that, okay?
No. I mean, okay, never mind. I think I'm just confusing the water. We'll just wait and see what the announcement is. Okay, never mind.
Thank you. Our next, I'm going to call on Anne Pixie Blue Studio. Do you have anything you would like to ask?
So nothing to ask, but I think basically just listening to like John especially, I think you can see that the first challenge, that first stage we were in back in March, everybody took it on as, okay, you know what, this is a global issue. We're going to band together. We're going to work together. We're going to do whatever we can to pool our resources and support one another. And it was great. And we did it through the summer, and you know, it felt good. I think the second wave has brought so much uncertainty, and going back to the businesses, and hence the reason why we thought, let's do this next program. Businesses are people, because it's livelihoods at stake. And when you have livelihoods, it's like a ripple effect that spills out through the community, through everything. And I feel that there's a sense of panic mode, and also there's a dark cloud over our main street when we have really struggled so hard over the years to pull it all together and make our main street so successful. And in a matter of months, it's declining so quickly. So basically my comment is, I realize that all the levels are doing the best that they can. The community is doing the best it can to support local. The BIA, we're all working behind the scenes. I don't think, like I think someone mentioned, I don't think anybody realizes how much personal time and volunteer effort is put in from our chair to our councillor to all of the BIA board of directors. We spend a lot of time thinking and brainstorming, and Natasha and Dianne, just through this whole couple weeks of sadness losing Beatrice, there's a heavy pressure on everybody, especially at the BIA level, to try to do the best for our businesses. So we really need everyone to support each other and get through it together. And Stronger Together is a great hashtag, but we really need to feel that hashtag. So that's my comment.
Thank you so much, Anne. That was beautiful. Calling on Bruno, would you like to ask anything, or would you like to state anything else to add to what you had spoken to before?
Oh yeah. Well, we've talked about this a million times already with Rudy and with Christian, but so I take it there's no progress on whether boutique studios like ours can reopen, right? Sounds like not happening. I don't know if Rudy's the person to answer that or not. I know they made the exception for the dance studios and listed all the reasons for that. I mean, you know, I'm not going to belabor my points here for everybody, but you know, we've definitely gone. If there was a checklist of things to do, we've got the checklist plus things. So, but I take it from what you said today, Rudy, there's not going to be any changes, right?
Right now, Bruno, there will not be any changes, at least for the 28 days. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
No, I don't want you to.
You know, and I hate that when people do sugarcoat it, because I'm telling you the truth. You know, like we bring all this information to the chief medical, first to the Minister of Health, Christine Elliott, and then to the chief medical officers. And there's a table, and you know, they look at everything, at how the spread is happening. Like we in Peel, at least we're doing contact tracing, so we do know exactly where it's coming from. In Toronto, they're not doing that right now. So at this present time, you know, we're not going to move on anything, at least for the 28 days. Now, you know, and I know, John, you know, I don't want to even say that we're going to move in 28 days because we're not sure yet. It depends.
Oh, no, of course. Of course.
I don't, you know, it all depends on the cases out there too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you know, you really think the Premier wants to close down this province? Not at all. You know, we have to take the advice from the experts in health. And that's where we're taking the advice from on these issues. So at this present time, for the 28 days, we're not moving on anything.
And just to put it out there, I know it's sort of an addendum to my question. I think there are some businesses in our field, I use the word broadly because just boutique fitness in general, that took the news of dance studios reopening as a signal that they could reopen. So I know that there's a few out there that have reopened. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying that I think, as someone pointed out earlier, I think it's just someone taking the news and interpreting it a certain way. So, you know, I think it would be good to get that message out there, because I just don't want somebody to get fined for misinterpreting the news releases, right? So,
and I hope that, you know, that the cases don't spread in there, because then it ends up closing everybody down. Well, and we don't want that to happen either, right?
No.
Well, I'm just going to jump in here with the talking about the fines. You know, there's a way where enforcement can be educational as well as working with the businesses, because it's all new to us. The businesses are trying the best they can. But I think the fines that have been given out is atrocious. It's almost like an us versus them. And it's pretty sad. So I hope the bylaw, the municipal bylaw, will be more educational as opposed to enforcement.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jake. And as I mentioned earlier, that's something that I've been letting people know loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to call out Kara from Crooked Q. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns you'd like to raise awareness to?
Hi there. Thank you, Natasha. I am not a business owner, but I have worked at the Crooked Q with John and MacKinnon for 21 years. I grew up in Port Credit. My parents worked in Port Credit. I went to school in Port Credit, and now live in Milton. And I'm raising my family there. But I just want to put a human face to how important these programs are and how important the funding is. I'm a mom of two. My daughter is a competitive dancer. My son does competitive hockey, and you know, $2,000 a month on CERB is really not going to do anything for me to pay my mortgage, my car payments. I won't be able to contribute to the community here or where I come from or where I live now. Like John had mentioned, we have another manager who's been here for 20 years, put his heart and soul into this business with John and Martina. He's a single dad, 3 kids. One of our other managers is, you know, any day is going to have his 3rd child. We have an employee who is as sad as it is, he is an orphan. His parents have passed away and he is now responsible for his 3 younger siblings and their mortgage, and $2,000 a month is not going to do anything for them. So shutting us down and not being able to work is a detriment to our employees, the economy and everything. I just think it's important for the government and for the officials to see a human face, to see the people that it actually affects, not only the business owners, but their employees. That, you know, I'm sure many of the restaurants have had long-term employees in Port Credit, but, you know, the Crooked Q has stood here for 21 years. Most of our employees have been here for a lot of that time. And now to let 57, almost 57 staff members go, put them on EI, and like John had said, who knows if we'll be able to get them back. And now we're going to restart our business, their business. Sorry, I call it our business because I've been here for so long. And I too have put my heart and soul in this community. It's a detriment. So I just really hope that, you know, this is taken seriously and that you can see that, you know, this doesn't just affect the business owners, which is a big thing. I'm not saying it's not, but it affects the employees as well. And I hope that, you know, our voices are heard and that you can help us all. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kara. That's beautiful. I would like to call Craig McDonald. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns you'd like to raise. Okay, I believe he has left right now. The next person I'm going to call is Christopher Doyle. Am I saying that right? I apologize if I'm butchering your last name. Christopher.
Hi, everyone. Chris Doyle here. 1986 when I opened up the Port Credit Academy of Martial Arts. Next year's our 35th anniversary. And last 7 months have been pretty tough for everybody, of course. We really are in this together, even though, John, you feel separated in different ways. It's good that we have this meeting right now. I really appreciate everybody coming together. I usually stick my nose to the grind, do what I'm doing, fight my own fight with our family and martial arts club students and family and friends. But when this came up, I figured, you know, show my face, let everybody know that I want to do something, whatever we can to do what we can. You know, we have 500 families, or we had 500 families 7 months ago. We pivoted real quick into 7 days to 8 days to get online virtually. And now we're less than half participating. And literally every couple of days, we get a call, get an email, taking too long. It's taking too long. That's it.
Thank you. I'd like to call out Frank Gianobi. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns you'd like to address?
Yeah, I just want to pass on a comment. We've stayed open. Of course, we're in the construction business, so we've been open from day one. We've worked through how people work in our office, but we are back to everybody being in our office. And I have to tell you, one of the biggest things that we saw, we're in the retirement home business as well. And so we've got an interest in 40 retirement homes across the country. And where people wear the masks and wore the masks from day one, knock on wood, we've not had any issues. The one home that the manager didn't follow our protocol had issues, and we had 6 people die in North York in one of our homes. But very clearly we saw from day one, and our day one was March the 2nd when we shut down our retirement homes and when we started requiring our construction sites to work differently. We saw the importance of mask wearing and how it actually works, where people came in to our homes that turned out to be infected and then didn't pass it on to anybody because both parties wore the mask, and people that came into very close contact because they were personal service workers working with our clients. I have to tell you, I am completely for mandating mask wearing, right out front, saying that, we can stay open, but we have to mandate mask wearing, whether you're inside or out. When I walk outside, I put my mask around my neck and I pop it up as soon as somebody's walking by me. We've got to have the guts to be able to say in our society, until this vaccine comes, we can stay open, but we got to start wearing masks. It just bothers me when we see all kinds of people walking around together and they're not wearing masks, and they're not in the same family. My grandchildren have gone to school now, and my wife helps out with my grandchildren. I'm fortunate that I have a big enough house, but I wear a mask in my own house now because I can't be close to them. They're in their bubble and I'm not in that bubble. What do we have to do to get people to get serious about mask wearing?
Yeah.
And I point, guys, I point to the guys in government on that. Like, I'd be raising all kinds of flags to you if you guys said, we're gonna make this mandatory until this vaccine comes in place. You have to wear a mask inside and out as soon as you get within 10 feet of somebody else. I'd be waving that flag big time. That's the only way we're going to be able to be open.
Thank you, Frank. That was a great point.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. That was those are very valid points. Thank you for sharing. The next speakers, I believe you are at the same location. Hazim and Terry Butt, would you like to raise any questions, comments, or concerns during this time?
I think Tasha.
They've gone?
They pass.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The next speaker I am going to call out is Howard. Howard Clean. Okay. Let's see here. Karen Priest. Karen Priest, would you like to say any questions, comments, or concerns during this time? You are on mute, Karen. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I get caught on that all the time. I think everybody's made some really good points, and I support what Frank just said about mask wearing. In fact, what we did in our foundation was we actually produced masks for the retirement communities. So we did Chartwell as well as the Port Credit residences at Highway 10. So we know that helped them quite a bit, and we did it at a very prominent time so that they didn't have to, they had their restrictions, but at least they wore the masks. So, and I really do support what John was saying about the restaurants, because we know the restaurants aren't the problem. And, we're doing our part too to try and do takeout throughout, but it's, it's hard to get around the entire community. But the restaurants aren't the issue. And I think shutting them down was the wrong thing to do, and putting them in such a precarious position was not the right decision. So that's about all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm going to call on Louis from the cabin. Louis, would you like to say anything? Question, comments, or concerns, please?
Yeah, thank you so much. And first, I want to start by saying thanks for the leadership from all levels of government in making the decisions as hard as they are. And as much as we may not agree or understand, I think that at this point, you know, it's a challenge, but we all have to band together and recognize that, you know, doing something collectively is better than doing nothing at all. And to Frank's point about wearing masks, I mean, I think that perhaps on a social media campaign, the more people that just keep on endorsing the use of masks, the better opportunity the uptake will be. And the fact that we can now combat the people that are challenging that rule. So that's something that we're going to work on for the cabin. And I want to get back to leadership just for a second. Our BIA, and I mentioned it before, we actually, if you don't know, we are so fortunate. I have businesses that sit in 4 different regions that have 4 different BIAs. And the well-funded BIA in Ontario is in one that I'd be part of downtown. I haven't heard a word from them through COVID. It's been incredible. No less, you know, my councillors down there and my MPPs and MP. So I consider us very fortunate. And I think that your leadership in this program, the people behind the business program, the Support the Port program, and the constant effort that you're making on our behalf for our community makes me just very happy that I'm part of it. And that encourages me to want to do more and ideally become an example for anybody that doesn't know what to do or how to do it. But collectively, we're better off for sure. I will say this, and you know, industry by industry by industry, there's always different levels of challenge here. And certainly the ones that we know of the most, the gyms, the restaurants, the bars, the dance studios, that are obviously being identified in all media. We recognize the huge challenge that you guys face and how operationally it's near impossible to continue doing what you're doing without the support of government and funding. So I advocate for a stronger funding program, a grant program. And I want to also recognize that despite my businesses not being included in these shutdowns, we all can recognize quite easily how this profound effect in the rise and the spike of wave 2 or phase 2 has been a massive impact on our business, in the sense that we're lucky that in Port Credit, we've had a very loyal and devout following that as soon as we were able to open again safely, they came back and filled our chairs. Port Credit is a different scenario than our downtown stores. And so in saying that, you know, it felt like we actually had a chance to regain and recoup. But the minute the news makes it clear that we have a spike, that changes people's behavior. And understandably, I'm not criticizing people for wanting to be safe and smart, but the cancellations start happening. The holes in the booking start happening. We don't have full shops anymore. And quite honestly, you know, we're laying off people, certainly not to the numbers that some restaurants have to, but our teams are being affected dramatically. You know, if you walk around our Union Station shop, it's post-apocalyptic. There's nobody in there. We're doing 1 or 2 haircuts a day and nobody's buying retail. So I want to recognize the fact that, you know, despite us not being in that main frame of what's been shut down, businesses just like ours and like a lot of yours that are on this call today, I recognize how much of an impact that really has silently in the background. And that's why we have to push forward for better funding and not just the deferral of taxes, although I think we're fortunate compared to some places in the world. It's just not going to cut it. We're going to see some serious suffering, certainly from our business standpoint, and my teams are terrified. You know, we're doing everything we can to keep morale up, but at the end of the day, they see writing on the wall. When we go from 16 haircuts per person down to 2 and 3 and 4, it's very worrisome and it's telling. So I'm most concerned, and I just wanted to express that on behalf of the businesses that don't get put into that category. And I want to recognize that, you know, I think whatever call we're making to unify and collectively come together, then you can count on our support. And I encourage you all as business owners in our community to do the same. And again, thank you for your leadership and for everybody's participation today. It means a lot to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to call out Joanne from Yoga 7. Would you like to contribute anything today, please? Yes.
Well, I just wanted to start off by saying it's so nice to see so many familiar faces on this call. I've missed everybody. So this is like so nice to see everybody. I think some of you know that Yoga 7 has had a lot of challenges over the past couple of years. The first thing started with the whole parking situation, where we weren't able to renovate our space that we wanted to. And then we were one of the few businesses in Port Credit who made the hard decision to actually close during the first wave. We just could not sustain our business paying, everyone pays high Port Credit rent. We could not pay high Port Credit rent for more than the 3 months that we did with zero income coming in. So we made the difficult decision. We have 25 teachers and we had, 5 or 6 staff members that we had to let go of everybody. We moved online, which has been really challenging because, people, they don't put the same value as paying for that kind of service. I mean, our teachers were so generous and they taught free of charge throughout part of the summer, but it got to a point where we had to start paying them. We've been in Port Credit since 2014. We're doing our best to try and keep our business going, trying to do this switch to online. I wanted to give a shout out to our friends at M3 CrossFit, who generously reached out to us and asked if we wanted to share their space with them to offer in-person classes. And guess when we were going to start? Last week or the week before, when the second shutdown was done on gyms. And I'm kind of with Bruno on this, like, show me the numbers for gyms in Peel region that contributed to the spread of the virus, because I don't see it. I see the spin studio in Hamilton, but I don't hear it in Peel, and it's incredibly frustrating. And we would have packed this in a long time ago, but we know how important and how people are struggling with their mental health and how important fitness and mindfulness is. So, my business partner Jinty and I were making absolutely no money at all, and we're just busting our butts trying to make this happen. So I want to give a huge virtual hug to all the other businesses in Port Credit who are sticking it out and continuing to run your business, because I just don't know how we could have done ours with, what are we going to do, have plexiglass pods for people doing yoga? And the stress on the staff trying to keep things clean, and you get one case and our business is sunk. So my hat's off to all of you, and if I could hug you, I would hug you. So, and thank you to the BIA for everything that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanne. It's good to see you too. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I feel like I'm not a part of the community anymore because we don't have our bricks and mortars location, but we're still here. So don't forget, we're still here.
Can I jump in with something real quick that I think Joanne touched upon? Is it okay? Just for 60 seconds here. I know we talk a lot about the financial aspect and the, how we're going to keep our businesses going or whatever. The one thing I don't hear a lot about, even in the news, there's a little bit, so I don't want to say there's nothing. There's a little bit, but not a lot about the fact that the people coming to us want us to stay open and need us to stay open. It's sort of the equivalent of why schools needed to be reopened, right? Some kids, if they didn't go back to school, we'd have another type of epidemic on our hand, right? A mental health one. And this, I don't think this is being talked about as much. And, whether it's martial arts, Pilates, yoga, anything, this is where people come, right? To de-stress and whatever they need to do. And that's going to be missing from their lives, right? So anyway, it's not a question. It's not anything. It's just a point to be made because there's not enough discussion, I think, about that, whether in the media or anywhere else, right? So, and there's going to be, I think, ramifications to that are impossible to calculate at this moment, but I think they're going to happen. So, anyway, so that's all I got on that.
Thank you so much, Bruno. Thank you. I am going to call out Marcelo Pazan. Do you have anything you would like to ask? Any concerns or comments?
Hi. Yeah, just for myself, to be honest with this, with you guys, we've got all our protocols in place, and there's a lot of people that are sitting at home, they're looking at their empty walls and doing shopping online. So it's been challenging, but we've been managing, and especially during our expansion, we were hoping to open up during.
Marcelo, if I may interrupt you for a minute, could you just speak closer to your mic?
Oh, okay.
Please.
Hold on a second. I really wasn't expecting to talk, but
Perfect. Thank you.
Since you did call on me, like I said, we've been following the protocols and right from the beginning using masks and things, and I think it's a very important thing too. So from my perspective, my heart goes out to all the people and everybody that's going on undergoing a lot of stress right now, and I know it's not easy, but we're just going to keep marching on here from our side. But with the expansion of our gallery space, we can't really have that many people in here too. So so we're all in the same boat, I guess. All right, that's all for me.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to call on Martina Elsley. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Just a couple of points. Thank you, first of all, everybody, for being part of the call and for everything the BIA does, and as well, Rudy and Stephen. I know you're on our side and you're doing the best you can, but I know it's been said again and again, deferrals don't help. Relief helps. The other thing, my other main point is that through the closure, government employees who were not working received 100% of their salaries. I'm in business to make money and to make as much money as I can. So you are, as the government, basically firing me. So there's laws in Ontario for employment standards. So you can pay me employment standards. I've been open for 22 years. Give me 22 months of full income. Pay my staff a severance or cover 100% of our payroll. Not 75% up to a cap. But nobody knows this. People are like, oh, well, you're getting funded. Well, we're not getting funded enough. Like, Rudy, can you live on $2,000 a month before tax? No, there's family-run businesses. Thank God my husband isn't in my business. But my brother in Etobicoke, his whole family, his wife, him, 2 kids, all work in the family business, and they're closed. And you're offering them $2,000 a month. It's not enough. And you're going to say it's federal. So-and-so is going to say this isn't. But it doesn't matter. Municipal, provincial, federal employees all received 100% of their salary. This isn't, thank you very much, helping me survive another month so I can make no money. Or, oh, we're decreasing your corporate tax. Like, there's going to be no profit. So decreasing my corporate tax to 8% doesn't matter to me. It's immaterial. Like saying, oh, we're giving $1,000 for businesses to buy PPEs. Oh, but you have to have under 9 employees. Nothing is proportional. The CERB, my part-time staff who were making $100 a week qualified for $2,000 a month. Right? Then you've got somebody making $100,000 qualifying for $2,000 a month. It makes no sense, the level of support. It's not proportional. And why would anybody open a business? And why should I keep going? Like, why? It's not, the first time around, it was like, okay, we're going to shut down and get this under control. How many waves are there going to be until we get a vaccine, or until 80% of the population gets it? Oh, but we keep shutting down, so 80% will never get it. So now we got to wait for a vaccine. Like, it's not enough to say we're deferring. My property taxes and my principal payments are more than the rent relief. And as a landlord, the landlords had to suck it up and take 25% decrease. Well, there's a lot of landlords, like my mother, that's how she lives. But it's okay because the landlords are all rich. They're not. Anyway, that's my point. I know the government is trying to, but you are just leaving so many people out there that are struggling.
Martina, I totally agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's been difficult for you, and I understand. And I look at some things that were done in Quebec. I look at school teachers in Quebec were laid off. In Ontario, we did not lay off our school teachers. We kept paying them. Is that right? We could argue that back and forth. Like, some people would say, yes, we should continue paying them. Some people say, no. I understand what you say. We've spoken on the phone many times, and even with John, I've spoken with you, John. It is difficult out there, and I understand where you're coming from. I'm hoping that in our budget that's coming up in the next few weeks, there will be more relief for you. I've been speaking with Minister Phillips, and we are looking at it's a long-term plan, because we know, COVID's not going to end tomorrow. So that's what we're looking at right now. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not, and I always bring your points to the minister about what is happening and what we should do more of. But this has to be a joint effort between all 3 levels of the government. I agree with you, because if we can't do it alone. We have to have federal help, provincial help, and municipal help as well. So, let's take this offline more, Martina, and let's see what else we can do for you. Okay.
Yeah, Martina, we've spoken as well, and have that ongoing conversation through the BIA. The one issue, unfortunately, that the city levels do have is, as they call it, they don't have the firepower. They don't have the mechanisms in place in terms of being able to put money into these types of things. And if you've noticed, the cities cannot carry deficits from one year into the next. It's under the Municipal Act. So the deferrals and things of that nature that were done, thankfully that the federal and provincial governments anteed up and helped, quite frankly, for lack of a better word, bail out the cities for doing this. So it's doing what is possible to be done, but it's unfortunately there's just not the mechanisms available to the cities to be able to extend a lot more. So, but I completely hear you. It's brutal.
But the problem is that as we go through a K recovery, so there's businesses that are growing and them, and maybe I'm going to have to assess, and walk away from being in the hospitality industry. That could, but you could actually say, we property taxes and we'll have closed basically for 8 months out of the year. 3/4 of the year, we're closed. We could be closed for 12 months, but we're paying our property taxes. You could redistribute our property taxes onto all the residents. Like we're in this together, but we're not really in this together. The people who could work at home, they're not in this with me, are they? The people who work for the government, they can work at home. They're not like, there's nothing like nobody's increasing taxes. Nobody's doing anything. We're running these huge deficits. And then the relief is not even proportional or in some cases meaningful. And so, you know, even for that, I know it's federal, but even the loans, you have to be under a certain point. So I'm just saying, like, I know you're saying you can't run a deficit, but that's not my problem. Just like you're like, it's not your problem. Like you shut me down. Basically, the government shut us down. There should be some sort of, I don't know, like fire me, give me my 22-month severance at full salary. I'll take it. And then in 22 months, I'll start a new business. Like your employees would get that. Every government employee would get that.
Thank you so much, Martina. We will connect offline and we'll discuss more. Thank you so much for sharing the comments. Everybody is feeling your passion and we will see what we can do. Moving forward, I have 4 more people I'm going to call out and we're just going to be time sensitive as we are going into the 2-hour mark. I'm going to call on next Sean Donnelly or Shannon Donnelly. The floor is yours if you have anything to add to our town hall.
Hello. Tommy here. Actually, Shannon's going to make some tea, right? I would like to commend Jake and your great board because you've done a fantastic job through this pandemic. I think everything is basically said that needs to be said. I think both John and Martina particularly touched on particular points that I wanted to make. The thing that bothers me most of all is we do need more grants than subsidy. It's anything with deferrals, anything that you have to pay again, eventually you're only getting deeper and deeper into debt. What really worries me about this village, and I've been here for 30 years, is the word family may go out of your business. That's what really worries me the most. These people have worked extremely hard. You can't have your hands tied and run a business. It doesn't work that way. It reminds me of the smoking. You can smoke in this room, you can't smoke in that room. When the rest of the, when we got shut down, I mean, everybody around us is open. You know, the information that keeps coming out seems to be misinformation. The restaurants were not the problem. They never were. They follow the rules of the road all the time. And they work extremely hard in keeping their enforcement. Patios, you know, when we look at them, it's a great thing. We're going to continue into January, February, March. The bottom line here is we need to know from our government when they put their plan together. We need to know a long distance plan. This is not a 28-day show. I don't run a business for 28 days. I run a business because I love what I do. And it's discouraging when we look at government at the present time not giving us the full facts. We need that information. If we have to shut down till next June, then tell us, but don't string us along. I feel that is just going nowhere. We come up with answers. We try everything and anything to help our business and our community, but we need more than that. And exactly back to the point of John being made, it's grants and proper information coming out that need to help. Because, you know, we do get better when we find out other people, you know, get paid and they stay home. It doesn't make sense. We need a concise direction from local government and provincial government to let us know what is happening. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to call on Noreen Lista. The floor is yours. Okay, and I'm going to call on next Patricia from Pearl Bridal House.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the BIA for organizing this. I've been part of the Port Credit community for the last 15 years, and I'm not actively involved all the time in the meetings, but I think this is a great thing that you guys are doing. So I just wanted to let everybody know, for those who don't know, 90% of our business, which most people don't know, does not come from the Mississauga area. Our business mostly comes outside of the Mississauga area. So we are always eager to kind of show off Port Credit and send our clients to a lot of the local restaurants here while they're, thinking about their purchase or just enjoying the area afterwards. And to watch a lot of these restaurants shut down is really disheartening. My window faces the Crooked Q, and I look every day to see how many people are going there. So it's really hard to watch. I guess my biggest concern from the very get-go, and just a little bit of history, is when the first shutdown came and we had to be shut down, and then they announced the rent relief program. I tried to talk to my landlord about it, both my landlord and the property manager directly. And they at first shut me down, and they said, we would rather see the store empty than apply for any subsidy. That was word for word. I had my husband, who thankfully is not in the business with me, and we can sustain our family, be on the phone as well, and his jaw just dropped. We tried several different times negotiating something with them, including that we would cover their 25% loss, so that really I only had 50% of that subsidy. And they said, we will not entertain or look into any relief program. And that was fine. It was a shut door. Rudy, I did reach out to your office to try to get some more information. This was kind of going into the early part of the summer, because they were not being responsive. And, I was advised that there was a new mandate. This is when Doug Ford had announced that no business could be evicted. So I did go back to and I was still paying my rent through this time, but it was really difficult. So I went back to my property manager and landlord, and I said, you guys can't evict me if I don't pay you this month. And they said, no, you're right, we can't evict you, but you will have it all due come, I think it was September 1st or whatever that rent relief was over by. So it was just a very passive aggressive way of saying, if you don't pay now, you're going to have to pay later. And if you don't, you're just going to be out. So my question is, what the original relief that was assigned for rent relief in the first wave, I think, was $3 billion. And if I'm correct, 1.8 billion of it was used and the other 1.2 was not. I understand that Ms. Freeland, our Deputy Finance Minister, has said that it's not retroactive. We cannot go back to it. And my question is, why not? Because if that money was allocated for rent relief, why can we not tap into it now? But with the changed program that it goes directly to tenants, and go back and say, you know what, we made it through the first wave, but we're hanging on by a thread. And why can we not access that money if it was assigned to small businesses to begin with? Why do we now have to requalify with new qualifications for the second wave, which I don't even know if I qualify anymore? And the other thing is although I'm not in the hospitality industry, my industry has been also severely impacted as weddings. If venues cannot open, brides are not buying their dresses because they have no idea what their weddings are going to look like. So it is a trickle effect. Although I'm product-based and a bride will always wear a dress, if wedding venues are not going to be happening in 2021, nobody's buying from me right now. So I am still impacted because I'm part of that bigger wedding world, which has also been, I would say, almost as detrimental as the hospitality industry. I know a lot of people who have shut their doors. I know a lot of venues who are ready to just go, and brides are worried they're not going to get their deposits back. So I just want to know why we cannot tap into that money that was already assigned to us as a small business, and why the new wage subsidy has been significantly reduced when they expect the second wave to be even worse.
Technically, I can't really answer those questions because they are a federal issue. It's not a provincial issue. And about like the bride industry, yeah, it's true. It's going to be difficult because brides are not going to buy a wedding dress if the banquet halls are not going to be opened. And that was my big concern when we were speaking with the chief medical officers, because I had asked them, I go, what's the difference between a restaurant having 100 people and a banquet hall having 100 people? Like, shouldn't the banquet hall be allowed to have more people than a restaurant because of the square footage? And their reply, because like this was, you know, I was getting calls from banquet halls steady on this. Their reply is, at a restaurant, this was from the chief medical officer, at a restaurant, you don't not move from table to table. But at a banquet hall, you do because you know people. So the virus will spread much quicker at a banquet hall than at a, so that's the reason why we haven't opened the banquet halls, okay?
Yeah, and I understand that.
I just want you to understand that, which will affect your business. I just want you to know that as well. But on the programs you're talking about, now the program will be right for the tenant instead of the landlord. So it's a much better program. But I can't answer the part that you asked because it is a federal question that you asked me. It would be Sven that would have to answer that question for you.
Okay. Yeah, I just think that I don't know how landlords could not be held a little bit more accountable to help. You know, and then I feel sometimes like I'm just a little business. How much of a difference can I possibly make? But I think that there are thousands of people, like there's just, you know, a handful here, thousands of people across the country that are in the same boat and sometimes feel a little helpless. So I just, you know, I just don't think it's balanced. I agree with some earlier comments that none of this has been proportioned. I have had staff who worked for me part-time and made maybe $150 a week just coming in once a day and then earned CERB at $2,000. And then I have had staff full-time that, you know, now like I have my seamstress who has no work this summer because weddings were pretty much canceled, and she made more than the $2,000. She works full-time and she's making the same as a part-time student. It just boggles my mind.
And I agree totally. I'll be honest, even my son, he goes, why should I be working when I could be earning CERB? I would be making more money for a part-time job. And I agree totally with you there.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, I agree there. You know.
Just awful. Yeah. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So if you have any additional questions, comments, or concerns, please, at this time, we'd like you to email the respectable panel parties. Diane's going to drop all the email addresses in the comments below. So please check it out to get in touch with Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us, Rudy, as well. If you want to get in touch with the BIA office, please email Dianne or myself, Dianne at portcredit.com, Natasha at portcredit.com, Jake as well. We are all here. We are all in this together. We all want to see what we can do to help each other out and move on through this process. So I do want to address that any federal government questions, please email us Swen. He unfortunately was not able to attend today along with his office, but we will be relaying any messages that you need. The BIA is also going to be hosting another BIA town hall the week of November 9th to the 13th. The date is still not secured yet, but we will be hosting that soon. I am going to hand off the floor to Jake.
Thank you. And just wrapping up, that next town hall will be with Sven. And that way, any other businesses can then direct questions to Sven at that time. So I think it's important, since he couldn't make it today, to have another one with him involved, so we can ask him the questions, what plan the federal government has. I really want to thank the panel of John and of course Councillor Daskos and Rudy for not dodging, for responding right away to this idea and facing the businesses. You definitely are hopefully not just listening but hearing attentively. Where do we go from here? We open it up to our businesses to send us ideas. We are going to sculpt that advocating that we showed you and really push OBIA to advocate the 3 levels of government to help us with those ideas that John brought to the table. The biggest thing today, I must say, is looking at the business owners and seeing that they are people and seeing the emotion and the struggles that we are all having at this time. And it's also easy to not recognize that when we throw around terms businesses and businesses. And that's why our next initiative that we're going to go hard on is businesses are people. And it's not just the 477 business. God knows how many businesses we're going to be down by the time this is over. But it's the, as Martina brought up and a few people brought up, Patricia, it's the spill-off effect of the staff, of the part-time cleaners, of the bartenders, the busboys, of the family helping. It's just such a ripple effect. So yeah, it's 477 businesses. It's much more than 477 people. It's multiply that times 4 or 5. That's affecting us in Port Credit, which is our priority. So I want to say thank you for everybody. And please be involved with the BIA. We're here for you, and we know you're here for us. So thank you very much, and everyone have a terrific day. Thank you.